Yes, looks good. Yeah.
Looks great.
Yeah.
So hey, everybody.
Hi.
I'm here. This lovely lady over here is Kareemah.
Hello, everyone.
Why don't you just tell us a little bit about who you are and where you're from?
Okay, so I'm Kareemah and I'm from Toledo, Ohio.
Toledo, Ohio.
Yes, Toledo, Ohio.
Is that the same thing as Toledo, Spain, or different than Toledo, Spain?
No, it's different from Toledo, Spain. It's in the United States, in Ohio, and yeah, very different from Spain. In a way that, for example, Toledo, Spain is more medieval and has a lot of history, way farther than Toledo, Ohio. And Toledo, Ohio is, I don't know how I can say, it's definitely more modern than Toledo, Spain.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah,
I would assume so.
Yeah.
Also, Toledo, Ohio being full of Americans, and Toledo, Spain is full of Spanish
people, of course, yes.
Great. So, I wanted to mention, first of all, you're a blogger also. Can you tell people the name of your blog?
Okay, the name of my blog is Hijabi Globetrotter. And what's my blog about? So basically, I kind of showcase and highlight my experience as I travel around the world, and talk about the people I meet, and I don't know, their struggles, their experiences, and like why they do what they do. So that's what my blog is all about.
Great. And just the vocabulary in case people don't know. The other day I interviewed Globetrotting Cupcake. Globetrotting, well, globe is the world, and trotting, well, refers to traveling a lot. So the Spanish translation for this is trotamundos,
Yeah.
I guess. And the hijabi part is?
Okay, so hijabi is like headscarf or pañuelo in Spanish.
It's this thing she's wearing on her head.
Yes, that's what the hijab is an Arabic word for headscarf or veil or covering. And yeah, that's why I named it, because it's characteristic of who I am and how I travel. So that's why I named it Hijabi Globetrotter.
Great. Okay, so one of the things that I find interesting about you is that you're a fan of Real Madrid.
Well, that was kind of coincidental, because I've been in Madrid and I'm just like, okay, and I feel like a lot of girls like football because of the players, and
Right.
And so like Ronaldo is in Real Madrid, so it's just kind of like easy, and it's like, okay, Real Madrid. So
Because of Ronaldo.
I guess.
Wow.
I guess it sounds shallow, but like a lot of girls like football because of the players, so I think that's a fact. And
Yeah, I like Taylor Swift because Taylor Swift, not because...
I guess, and he's actually a good football player, so
Yeah.
it's not so how do you say, it's fictitious or superficial. So
Yeah.
he's actually a good football player.
That's great. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and then most of my friends back in Toledo, they are like huge Real football fans, like soccer, and many of them are Real Madrid fans, and so it's like I'll have a lot to talk about with them.
Great. And so you're Muslim,
Yes, I am.
and we have millions of Muslims in the US.
Yes.
Okay. Me being from Arizona, I do not remember ever seeing or meeting them, but they would be in your part of the US, right?
Yes. So in the US, it depends on where you are. So like the majority of Muslims are in California, Texas, and New Jersey, and on other parts. So I lived in Ohio, Toledo, Ohio, and Toledo is literally like just at the border with Michigan. So I could say I'm kind of from Michigan because it's just 1 hour away, and there are lots of Muslims, and especially in this area called Dearborn, Michigan, and it has like the most Arab population in, I don't know if it's in the world, out of an Arab country. So there are a lot of Arabs there, and so it comes with Islam and Muslims. So yeah, there are a lot of Muslims where I lived in Ohio, Toledo, and Michigan.
Okay. And what does the hijab symbolize to you?
So hijab, it symbolizes modesty, and it's not just on what you wear. I mean, it has to do with that, but it's also how you act and the decisions and the choices you make. So yeah, hijab symbolizes modesty in what I do, in how I treat others, and in my mannerisms of speech and all that.
Great. And I've met you several times. Seems like you're always wearing a different color.
Yes.
how do you choose the color of hijab that you're going to wear in the morning?
I think it depends on how I feel, and if I'm happy, I like wearing bright colors. And today, right now, it's really sunny, and obviously I'm happy, and so I'm having a bright colored hijab on. And if it's raining or maybe really cold in winter, maybe I'll wear black. I'm not mourning anything, but it's just like I just don't feel as happy as I would be if it's sunny.
Great. Okay, so when I was in high school, I was the only ginger kid who wore a lot of black clothes and wanted to be a rock star. When you were in high school, did you want to... were you the only one in your high school wearing the hijab?
Not really. I had my sister, and she was 2 years younger than me, so we went to high school together, and so it was me, her, and then there was another girl who wore a headscarf, so we weren't the only ones. So we were 3 in total that wore hijab in high school.
Great. Okay. And you're a travel blogger.
Yes.
Great. What kind of countries have you been to?
What kind of...
what countries? What countries have you been to?
So far, since I came to Spain, I've been to Morocco, Portugal, Austria, Italy, Turkey. Yeah, I think that's about it. 7 or 6. Did I mention 6 or 7? Yeah, around that area.
Something like that.
Yeah.
What would have been your favorite?
I think my favorite was Morocco and Turkey. If Turkey, I didn't go to Turkey in December, it would have been my favorite. So I'll put Morocco. Morocco was my favorite.
And why is that? Tell me something about Morocco for you.
I think that it was kind of being able to feel more at ease because it's a Muslim majority country, and I could eat anything I wanted, and it was very different from where I live in the US, like different textile, different things that they sold. It was just very different and exciting for me, and I like things that are very different. So it was interesting, different, and so I liked it. And
Great.
The people they're hilarious. They always have something to say that's out of the blue.
Okay.
Yeah.
You speak Spanish and English.
Yes.
Any other languages?
So I understand. I don't understand Arabic, but I can read and write Arabic.
You can read and write Arabic?
Yes, that's...
But not speak it?
No.
I've heard this is a problem for Arabic speakers.
It's the opposite that's a problem. They can speak it, but they can't, some people can't read it or write it.
Because there's a big difference between like spoken Arabic and literary or Quranic Arabic, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So yes, I learned how to read for being able to read the Quran, and yeah.
This is actually, just to go on a completely unrelated tangent, this is actually the same problem that a lot of Spanish people have with English, is that they've spent 15 years in school learning how to read and write English, but they've never actually heard spoken English. And they come to my class and I say, hey, what's up? And they freeze and they don't know what to say because they've never heard English before. So.
Mine is kind of, I hear Arabic a lot, but it's just like I never made that extra effort to actually learn it in terms of speaking with someone. So like that's something I want to work on because I know half of it, so just to complete that other half.
Great.
Yeah.
So there was one thing on your blog that I liked a lot. It was things that you learned as a solo traveler. Solo traveler meaning you usually travel alone.
Yes, usually.
Okay. And one of the things that you talked about is that the world is generally not as dangerous as we think.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So, for example, in the media, I feel like they try to hype things and make it bigger than it is. I would give, for example, like in the U.S., with the president that's currently there, they make it seem like the U.S. is really dangerous, but my family lives like in the deep south, and so far as far as I know, they're fine, and the people are really friendly, and it's kind of opposite of what you'll think of the U.S. and living in the south.
When you say the deep south, you don't mean Toledo, Ohio?
No, Louisiana, because they live in Louisiana.
Yeah, okay.
My family lives in Louisiana, yes.
Yeah, I remember this. So you're from Toledo, but your family
lives, they moved to Louisiana, yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's the thing that people ask me too. They're like, Daniel, I want to go to the U.S., but I'm worried I'll be, shot by, well, whoever. Let's not get into all of the different kinds of people who could shoot you in the U.S. And it's like, it's true that that happens, and it's true that every time it happens, it appears in the news. What they don't tell you is about all of the people like, well, I've never been shot. I don't know anybody who's been shot. Do you?
No, not that I know of.
I think the media is doing their job basically, which is to report on the news. Most of the times the news is going to be something bad happens somewhere. It's like, Daniel Welsch goes to eat a sandwich and doesn't get shot. That's not the news. But if Daniel Welsch goes and, is shot along with 11 other people while getting a sandwich, that's news. So, and you see that and you think that's more representative than it is, when in reality, it's kind of hard to get shot anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as easy. I mean, okay, maybe in the US it's different from other countries, but it's not like you're walking and like you're at the risk of getting shot at any moment. I just think that all around the world, wherever you are, you never know what could happen to you. Like, the world is not as dangerous, like I mentioned, as it seems. And like, even, I think, like, for example, President Trump makes it seem like, for example, Europe is like this war zone to people in America that haven't left.
Does he?
Yeah, because he says like, oh, it's infiltrated with terrorists and stuff, and it's not even like that. He always gives an example. He says like, oh, we don't want to be like Europe, which is like that, and I'm just hilarious. I'm like, well, people in Europe are living fine.
That's ridiculous.
He says that, and I'm just like, why is he trying to? And then everyone's just like, we don't want to be like Europe that is infiltrated with terror. That's what it is.
I have not heard
seriously,
that. Okay.
He does that, and it's like,
I'm sorry. If you're in the U.S. and you're watching this right now, come to Europe. I will buy you lunch.
It's not like that.
Here in Madrid, and we can talk about how dangerous. Like, I would. Honestly, as far as that goes, Europe is so much safer than the U.S. in every way. Because in the U.S., I guess you could be killed by terrorists basically anywhere. There's a very, very small possibility that it could happen. In the U.S., there's like a dozen other kinds of people who could also just decide to kill you, and they have lots of guns, and they're free to take their guns basically anywhere, and they could just, yeah. Having said that, it's probably not going to happen to you. So just go somewhere and do something.
Yes.
Another thing, like places that are considered dangerous. I was thinking earlier about going, places that kind of sound dangerous because of something that happened 25 years ago or whatever. Like, I was in Zagreb, Croatia, a couple of years ago, and I was just doing my normal thing that I do, where I was in an art museum and I was like talking to the cute girl in the art museum about what I should be doing in Zagreb, and she says, well, yes, in the Balkans we have really good food. And I'm like, wait, am I in the Balkans? Because when I was a kid, like, it was like war in the Balkans, war in the Balkans, war in the Balkans. It seems like my whole childhood. On the radio every morning was like war in the Balkans, and I didn't really even know where that was, but it's, and I walked out of the art museum and I'm like, this is the Balkans? Because it still sounded dangerous because I had never heard anything else about it. Just, I think that a lot of places in the world, the only way they're going to get like on the news in the US or in Europe, Western Europe, is if something terrible happens.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
So your question is like traveling in places that are deemed dangerous?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it really depends on you doing your research. For example, like, I went to Turkey last year, and we all know that not everyone will be willing to go there. And of course, like, I had mixed feelings about it, because like, because I had two friends that were pro going and not going, because it's very unstable. So I don't know if I'll personally tell you to go there, but I just think like it depends on you as a person and the research that you do, and what you know about the country. But when I went there, I didn't feel any kind of way. The people were living their lives like normal. The only thing I noticed obviously was like the tourism had reduced a little bit, so they were kind of more how should I say, anxious or whatever,
Yeah.
because they're kind of upset that there not many people are buying, so like they just wanted to increase the prices, and they were a little bit unhappy about that. But the people were like, this is their lives, this is where they're living, and they were normal. The only thing I felt was kind of like walking through, and like I went after the week of the Beşiktaş, the stadium that had been bombed.
Oh.
And like seeing that was kind of like, wow, like this happened last week. So that was kind of a little bit nerve-wracking. But yeah, I think like doing your research and it depends on you as a person how courageous you are. But at the same time, I don't know, it really depends. It depends on the place, and in anywhere you go, you have to do your research. I don't know if I answered your question exactly how you wanted it to be.
No, that's fine.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things that I really like about what you're doing on your blog is that, well, I know that there's probably a lot of people like you, like Muslim women out there, who would love to travel and to see the world a little bit. But they might feel like they can't because it could be dangerous for them, because people could, judge them or stereotype them, and they don't necessarily have someone who's gone before them and who's like inspired them to say, people like me can do this.
Yes, that's a very legit concern. And I have a lot of girls that message me on Instagram and tell me, how did you travel? Like, did people even say anything to you when, like, as you are wearing your hijab? And for me, I say that you're never going to change people's perception if you don't go out of your comfort zone. For example, like before I came to Spain, I had no information about how it was like being a Muslim in Spain, because I know like Spain has history of Islam, but I did not know how it was like in the present. And so I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna go and we'll see how it is. I was kind of looking forward for the best and like preparing myself for whatever could possibly happen. And so far, like all the trips I've had and like staying in Spain for 2 years, I've had no major problem that was like threatening, yeah.
Yeah.
And if more, it kind of has even educated people, because a lot of people, especially in Spain, they are not so informed about Muslims being diverse more than Moroccan. I get a lot of like, oh, you must be Moroccan. And even like 2 weeks ago, I was in Granada, and one guy was asking if I was from the Sahara Desert. I'm just like, yeah, sure. Yeah, I just came from the desert, just chilling in Granada. But just that this is the ignorance. And like a lot of people, whenever I tell them like, oh, you're American and I'm American, and they're like, oh, you're American and Muslims, like they can't put that equation together. It doesn't make any sense to them. So like this is what traveling helps. It kind of shatters that image that's shown on television. So if you're afraid and like the media is making you feel like you should just hide in your house, it's not going to help anybody, and people will not know about you and your story and not even realize that you're just like everybody else.
Yeah, like the first time we talked in a serious way, I just asked you every silly question I could think of about, kind of like I'm doing right now. But that's my strategy too, that we should have these conversations that, that everybody is basically ignorant to begin with. The way you get over it is by asking questions, not by like pretending you already know everything.
Exactly.
So I'm willing to, look stupid in front of you, and if necessary in front of all of YouTube, because I think it's interesting that people like have this idea of, in the US, people tell me I look Irish, or like I don't look like someone from Arizona, whatever that means. In the US, people look like everything you could imagine, and we're all just, this is one of the things, if not the number one thing that has made the U.S. a successful country is the diversity, the immigration from all over the world, the fact that, you know, we're able to accept people from anywhere, and that generally it works pretty well, except for the, you know, very vocal minority of, you know, politicians or whatever who try to make it a problem. For most people, it is never really a problem.
What do you mean, like, not a problem?
Well, like diversity and immigration and stuff.
Yeah, for some people, yes. I guess it depends on a lot of things, yeah. For example, if you're immigrant and, you know, you speak English really well, you integrate faster.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is one of the categories. But I understand what Daniel is trying to say, because I think although US has its negatives, like any other country, it's one of those countries that kind of accepts diversity better than other countries. For example, like you see people in higher positions at workplace that's from other backgrounds, not just certain races that you probably would never see in Europe or Asia or, you know,
oh, yeah.
something like this. And that's what I've come to appreciate. It's like, although US is not perfect, I have a lot of things to complain about it, but you just would not see people in certain levels as they are in the US.
Even like in London, the diversity of bus drivers is fantastic. And here in Spain, when have you seen a bus driver who's not Spanish?
Well, in the 2 years I've been here, I haven't.
Yeah,
I haven't
me
really
neither.
seen.
Like the day I see a non-Spanish bus driver is going to be a big step forward for Spanish diversity as far as that goes.
Yeah.
But, you know. Okay, so our next question was, oh yeah, don't judge people by their government. This is another intelligent thing that I got from one of your articles. What do you mean by don't judge people by their government?
Yeah, well, I see it a lot in a lot of situations that happen around the world. Okay, I'll give example of the US because that's what I know more. For example, like, you know, people see the policies that our current president is making and they think that Americans are like this, or that a lot of Americans really voted for somebody like this, and they believe in some of the things that the policies that are being executed. But when you get to know the American people, you just realize that they just want to be able to be stable and to be able to pay for their child's education or something like this, and they're very welcoming people too. Like, yeah, like even in the neighborhood I live, you wouldn't even believe it, like the people are always like looking to help each other. And like, for example, because my family lives in Louisiana and like we have hurricanes a lot, so everyone's always like messaging each other like, do you need any help, do you need me to bring something? And it's not something you think of the US, especially for Muslims, because you think like everyone in America wants to kick out the Muslims. And yeah, and you can even see in like, because they do a lot of YouTubers do like social experiment, and they do something like hug a Muslim, or do you think Muslims should leave? And like, although those experiments, I think they're very
hug a Muslim is like a YouTube thing.
Yeah, like there are some YouTubers, like especially in New York, they do that, and they just stand with the placard and they like hug a Muslim, or they wear a fake mascot of Trump, and then just like, and he has like a placard that says all Muslims should go. And although I think they're very silly and sometimes they're a waste of time, but it's just interesting to see the reactions of Americans and how they say things like, oh no, that's wrong, we're all immigrants and so forth. So that kind of is a depiction of how, you know, Americans are. They're not exactly how the government portrays them to be. And I would say from the Middle East, like a little bit, because I'm not really familiar with the Middle East, but like, for example, the things you see the government do in the Middle East doesn't mean that the people are like this. So yeah, it's quite unfair to, like, you know, put everyone in one box based on what the government wants, or even like if the country is going to war. I don't think any citizen wants their country to go to war, for example. So this is what I kind of mean when I say don't judge people by their government.
Yeah, and this also ties into the next point that I had here, which was you said something like, basically everywhere you've been, everybody wants the same things.
Yeah.
What did you mean by that?
Yeah, like in the countries I've been to, everyone just, I think like a lot of people want peace. They just want peace. They want to feel loved or find love, or they want to be respected in some kind of way. And I just think this is what humanity needs, and this is an inevitable necessity of humanity. And like at the end of the day, it's like we're all human and we have the same things that we aspire for.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so thank you very much, Kareemah.
You're welcome.
Is this your first time on YouTube?
No.
No? You've been on YouTube before?
Yes, but don't watch any of the videos because they're so mediocre.
Oh, come on.
No.
You're talking to the king of mediocre YouTube videos. Okay, I will not link to anything you've put on YouTube. I will link to your blog.
Yes, that'll be perfect.
All right. The last question I wanted to ask you, I usually try to ask everybody. Why do you love Spain?
First of all, I came to Spain to learn Spanish, so like it's just kind of very exciting for me being able to practice what I learned in university, and you know, talking to people and like having them actually understand me. So that was exciting. I like the relaxedness of Spain. It's definitely more relaxed compared to any states in US, I think, in general.
Even a small town like Toledo, Ohio?
Yes, definitely.
People are more relaxed in Madrid?
Yes,
okay.
Definitely. Yeah, people are definitely faster in the US in general. And I love the gastronomy here. I think that the food in general is definitely more healthier than the United States. Less greasy in general. What else?
You don't eat any of the pork stuff. Though,
oh, that's true, but I eat meat. I eat steak.
Yeah, since I love the pork end of these things, I get a lot of grease in my diet that you probably don't. So I might not agree with that, but if you're doing halal, then...
No, in general, like I think the food here is healthier.
Yeah, well, it's definitely healthier because it's less processed.
Yeah, it's fresh.
In the US. Fresh.
What else? I like that the ease of traveling here, and even, yeah, I like the ease of traveling, being able to travel and hopping on that Ryanair, you know, cheap flight.
Oh God, I hate Ryanair.
Being able to pay 20 euros to go to another country, that's like impossible in the United States. Yeah, that's amazing. What else do I like about Spain? I just like the way people are friendly. Because I've been to France. I used to go back and forth to France when I was younger because my dad worked there for a while.
Oh.
And it's just different. So people here are more open, and like if you need help, they're actually genuinely willing to help you. I really like that. What else do I like about Spain? I guess the nightlife, not in terms of, because I'm not really a party person, but in terms of like, for example, just walking on the streets and just seeing people, you know, chilling, like hanging out till 10, 12 p.m. at night. I really
longer.
Or longer. Even children. That was my first shocker. When I first came, I was like, why aren't these children sleeping? It's past 8.
Yeah.
And they're still out. So at first I was shocked, but I just thought it was actually cute and it was chill, and like
it's not just my family in the US that I was always in bed at like
no,
8:30 p.m.
Because like I remember, because my grandma, she like it's like a reward to even like be awake to watch movies with them past 8.
Yeah.
So like seeing that like these Spanish children like at 4 or even probably younger, they're just like chilling on the streets at 12 p.m. So I like that. It's just nice and it's relaxing. Yeah, and then the history is interesting, and of course I love the terrain. I love that Spain has mountains. I love mountains, so like just seeing the mountains, and it has a lot of natural views. It has almost everything, right? I don't know if it has deserts, but it has almost everything.
There's desert down in the south, I guess, in Almeria or
okay,
something.
Yeah, that's where they do all the Hollywood Wild Wild West movies.
The spaghetti westerns.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, it has everything, and so it's why I love Spain.
Great.
Yeah.
I meet so many different Americans here in Spain than I ever would if I had stayed in Phoenix. So that's been also very educational.
Yeah.
If I was back in Phoenix, it would just be like, I don't know, lots of people just like me
Yeah.
hanging around and thinking we were the only kind of people
Yes.
in the US, and it's not true. There's all kinds of people in the US.
Yes. So it's just not one type of person. Like US is very diverse.
Many cultures.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Kareemah.
You're welcome.
And, well, not much else. Go to my website if you want more. You can go to expatmadrid.com. You can go to madridingles.net. You know, lots of places. Subscribe here on YouTube. Buy my books. Enjoy life. Yeah.
All right, well, that's for me, and you can definitely check out my blog at hijabiglobetrotter.com. I'm sure Daniel's going to put it down below.
I'll put a link down below. I'll also write it here on the screen so they can see that. Awesome.
Yes, bye.
Bye.